This is one of the best off-roaders ever made.
This is a Land Rover Defender 110 X Dynamic HSE edition. Yes, that's a long name, and good news, it's for sale.
Well, even better news, let's roll with the intro.
Let's start with the exterior of this car. This is the 110 edition, which means it is the 5-door version of the Defender. And I do have to say, if you look at the front of the car, it kind of looks like it's smiling. I don't know what it is, it's probably this area, but it looks like it's smiling, which is good. And Land Rover has redesigned this car to make it a bit more modern, especially with the daytime running lights as well. Now, important quirk, the daytime running lights, it's not just this which is lit up, but these two small boxes as well, and I think that's a pretty cool touch. And this car comes with this copper paint and the black badging as well, because it has the black pack. All of that combined, it just looks quite amazing. Okay, so let's talk about the side of this car. This car looks very easy to draw. It's like the design team went to a kindergarten, were like, hey, let's all draw a car, and they selected the best car that the 2-year-old drove. And I gotta say, it's got the aerodynamics of a cardboard box. I mean, just look, it looks cut off from here, but when you come closer you can start to see the curves, and this being on off-road tires and black alloys as well, it looks quite amazing. And I do have to say, this is the air intake. It's an odd place to be, but it's a pretty cool quirk of the car. And this car has a roof rack, which is added optional. It's got a very classic design, which is this safari sunroof. So Land Rover put it in place to make sure that when you're on safari you can see the treetops, and that's a very classic Land Rover thing. Now at the back, this is an amazing looking car. The only thing is, it looks like it's been cut off here, but the spare tire definitely makes up for it. It actually looks good. And I gotta say, these lights here, they are a homage to the old Defender. That's why you got a set of lights here and then two small ones here. I did think that it was a bit of a weird feature, but then looking at it in person, it does look good. If you need to tow your car, you got two jacking points here, and the back looks quite amazing, like I said. And because this car has the extended black package, you do get black wheels, which means the spare is black as well. And the overall design, I would say it would be a 9.5 out of 10. It just looks rugged, it looks amazing, especially with this color. Okay, let's talk about the engine and the specs of this car. So this gets a 6-cylinder engine which produces 292 horsepower and 650 newton meters of torque. That is quite light. And yes, that's the engine. With this insert a clip, and obviously it's a 4-wheel drive, and it does sit on an air suspension, which is quite amazing because the ride quality is just perfect. And currently it's on sale for $135,000. And yes, it is a bit expensive, but just drop us a message, we'll go from there. And I also have to say, it's only got 10,000 kilometers on the clock, and it has a very cool feature that no one will probably use: launch control. Just why? But still, it's a pretty cool touch. Okay, let's talk about the tech within this car, and yes, this deserves a completely different section. So starting with, you get an active key. So this is no longer available with the newer Defenders, but if you buy this, you get this, which means you can wear this and go surfing, and you don't have to worry about this key. You don't have to worry about this key, and that's a pretty cool touch. Now let's move on to the infotainment system. So you get a 13.1-inch touchscreen display, which is very responsive, which I love. And if you click on that, you get a 360 camera. So if you click on these touch points here, you can see the car from different angles, which is quite amazing. And there's a separate one which is off-road. So when you put it onto off-road and you click on this, so let's click that, while driving you can see what's underneath, which is quite amazing. And if you click on road, you can basically get back onto that 360 camera, and also you get a separate towing menu, which is quite amazing. Now let's move on to this bit. So this is where most of your AC controls are. So if you spin it, your AC decreases and increases, which is quite lovely because that's very high quality. And if you click on this and you swerve this, so that's where how you get your seats to be cooled. And if you turn it, that's a bit annoying, but if you keep turning it, your heated seats will turn on. It's hot enough today, let's just make sure it's cold. Now if you click this button here, that's where you get to select your driving modes, which are displayed right here. So you get different driving modes, so you click that and you control it via this. So you get grass, mud, sand, rock roll, wade, and configurable. So this is an option which comes with this car, the configurable one. So if you go there, you get to select from your differentials, the powertrain, steering, traction control, blah 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 blah. There's so much tech in this car that we can't cover it in one video. So this is literally an off-road king. Now let's go into one of my favorite features about this car, weight sensing. So if you go to weight sensing, you click on that, it will tell you your maximum water level that you can go on this car. So this is where we get the air suspension control. So I'm just gonna race the car and notice this maximum, it's gonna rise. So I'm racing the car right now and it's racing. See, it was 0.85 before and currently it's 90. And I'm gonna lower the car, bear with me. So we're just lowering the car and that lowers with you as well. So that's a pretty cool touch for the tech bit of this car. And you also get a fully digital instrumental cluster. You get lane keep assist and smart cruise control, which is quite amazing. You also get a blind spot monitor, which you can see there. And one of my favorite features of this car, so when you're opening the door, there is a smart door function where it'll let you know if there's a vehicle behind you. It'll basically warn you. And you get multiple charging ports in this car. You get a USB-C here, USB here, USB-C here, and at the back you also get two USB-C ports here.
Now let's look at the interior of the vehicle. Land Rover has spent no detail, like they've done such a lot to make this vehicle look so modern. The main important thing that I like is that all this looks plastic, but this is all rubber, which gives the vehicle a more off-roading feeling. And then when you look at the door and the handles and everything, this stitching, the leather, it's so nice. And even on the handles in the front, that's a huge plus. And then when you look at the steering wheel and the gear, that's also leather rather than being plastic, and which gives the vehicle a bit more modern look, but it still has the off-road feeling. Another huge important thing which I personally like is these exposed nails. That makes it look a bit more rustic. Okay, now let's look at some of the cool things about the interior of the vehicle. Number one being the grab handle. Say you're going on an off-road, which this vehicle is built for, and like generally you're in a car and you would be swaying around. But no, you got a grab handle here, you got a grab handle there. And even on the passenger side, on the driver's side, you got plenty of grab handles. Number two would be the storage. You got ample storage. So if you have a water bottle, you got stuff here. You got space here, here, here. Then you got a plenty cubby room over here. And then also you got the storage on the door. And the most important thing about this is that each one of these is also rubber. So it doesn't scratch the material, which helps it last longer. The seats are ventilated and heated, which is a good thing on a hot summer day like today. And then we have the interventional cluster over here, which is a touchscreen, and it shows everything about the vehicle. At the back, there is plenty space, enough leg room, and Dinuka has already tested, so that's that. And one of the main features from the back is that you can see the huge sunroof. You can see it from the front as well, but there's plenty of space. And just like Dinuk mentioned, it's the Safari windows over here. So it gives lighting to the back. Another feature about this vehicle is that all these seats in the rear can be pulled down. So personally, I'm not a huge fan of this. There's a second option. You can put the headrest down and then just pull this seat down, and then so it gives a much more smoother surface where you can store plenty of stuff in the back.
Now, adding on to that exterior, let's talk about the boot space. The funniest thing is, if you open the door, you can see the male genitalia on the car, but let's just skip that. So you get an 875 litre boot space, and you also do get this net, which was the added optional. And if you follow me, you get a hook here, a hook here. You do get a 12-volt plug right here. And overall, there's so much space in here. And the good news is, I've utilized all of it to store my second camera. And another thing that I just forgot to mention, you do get the rubber mats here, which extends as this. You also get more storage space right there. Okay, let's talk about the cool features of this car. So you might think that this is just a Defender, but I promise you there's so much luxury features included in this. It might as well be a Range Rover. Let's start with keyless entry. So if you just click the door, it'll unlock and lock, so that's it. And this car is built on a whole new chassis, and it's 10% stiffer than the equivalent Range Rover and 100 times stiffer than the stock you'll find in Gavin's bedroom. The air suspension in this car measures each wheel 500 times a second, which is absolutely crazy, and that just makes the ride much more smoother. Here's another cool feature: the steering wheel is electronically adjustable, and that's so not Defender like. That's a very luxury feature, but the new Defender's got it. If you have a trailer to fit, this is just gonna make your life so much easier because you can lower and raise the car from the back. Voila. We all know tire pressure is one of the key things for off-roading. So this car has a fully built air compressor at the back, and you can basically deflate or inflate your tires from right here. That's a pretty cool touch, and also that's added optional that this car gets. Perfetto.
Now, let's talk about the annoying facts about this vehicle. One, the suspension on this vehicle is pretty cool, but in case you do want to change for coils for some reason, you would have to pay a lot of money. Point two, the material on the rear storage, it's quite scratchy, and as you can see, there's a couple of marks. So they could have done a better job at it. Now, we all know that Land Rovers isn't very reliable, but here's a cool fact about this vehicle. This vehicle comes with a 5-year warranty and a 5-year service plan. So if you do buy this vehicle, you got 4 years left. You don't have to pay a cent on servicing.
Okay, so let's go for a drive in the 110 Defender. Starting with the tech in this car. So this car is so driver focused, and you get so much driver assist that it is literally one of the easiest cars to drive. And I gotta say, we've been driving this car for a minute now, and the cabin noise is fairly quiet. You do get a bit of road noise due to the off-road tires, but overall it's a very luxurious cabin. And when it comes to steering, it's not a heavy car, because one, you got power steering, and which is quite responsive, which is amazing for a car of this stature and size. And you can literally feel the car taking up a lot of road space, but that's a bit expected when you're driving a big 4x4. And good news is this car has been off-road, but then not extreme off-roading. So if you buy this car, you do get a car which is basically very close to being perfect condition, and everything about this car makes sense when you're driving, especially the throttle. So this is a heavy car, but the diesel engine does a very good job at making it feel light, and as you're driving, the throttle response is absolutely amazing. We've driven a few cars, and I gotta say, when you're driving this car, the second you put your foot down, there is absolutely no lag. The diesel 6-cylinder engine does a perfect job. The driving is quite wonderful. It feels like a very luxurious car. So props to Land Rover for that, because this is an extremely well built off-roader. But when it comes to daily driving, you're literally not gonna have any problems at all. So yeah, that's where I will leave the driving experience. For a daily driver, I would recommend this, even though it is a bit big, but you've got enough technology to assist you, and the car is literally so easy to drive. So driving experience, I would say, is a 9.9 out of 10.
And now for the final thoughts. Dylan, what do you think?
Okay, so I think this is one of the best off-roaders out there. Yes, we couldn't test it, but we just know it. Everyone knows it. The Defender is the best off-roader out there. I'm sorry, controversial opinion, but it's so good. And I do have to say, this is an impressive off-roader, but an even more impressive luxury car. And everything that we tested, the driving, the interior, the build quality, the features that it has, everything put together, it might be an off-roader, but it's also a high-end luxury car. So I love the way it drives, I love the way it sounds, and it's 10 out of 10, especially the way it looks. I mean, look at the paint, look at the contrast. It's great. So I think this is the first car I would say it's a 10 out of 10. So there you go. Gavin?
And for me for sure, like in my 4-car garage, I would have off-roader, and Defender has always been in my mind. So I would say, after checking this vehicle out, the other option would be a Prado, but it's a pretty common vehicle. But this, it's just, you look at it, it's just like Derek said, it's just very nice and it's sleek. So this would be a 10 out of 10 for me as well.
Perfect. And yeah, so this car is, like I said, currently for sale. It's got a 5-year warranty, 4 years left on the warranty, and the service plan, which means you don't have to pay for service. So overall, perfect car. And yeah, that's where I would leave it. I'll put the sale details here and the features as well. Enjoy and subscribe, guys.
Yep, done.